son Carter after him.
Did he introduce his son to Weezy by saying this is the Carter? It's a great song. I love that song. It was my ringtone for a while.
There were so many, fewer thises that would have made the point.
In my heart, there are so many thises. But we start with Tom Brady. Our pal Bill Barnwell says there's a chance the 49ers replace Jimmy Garoppolo with Brady next season. Now, it's important to tell you that this chance is, in Barnwell's precise estimation, 0.0001%. But the last 3 years of Garoppolo's contract actually aren't guaranteed. And Brady, a free agent, grew up a Niners fan, and we can just throw the word should into virtually any question and cover our behinds that way. So, Bomani, should the Niners replace Jimmy G with Tom Brady?
All right, so for me, this is a little bit tricky because there's a possibility that Jimmy Garoppolo will be better next year than he was this year. It is likely that Tom Brady will be worse next year than he was. If you were to ask me which one of them was a better quarterback, I'd have told you Tony Romo. I would have taken Eli Manning, and that's where we get with Garoppolo and Brady. I would imagine that Garoppolo will do more for you over a 16-game sample than what Tom Brady will be next year. But if I need to get that one, even at this point, even where he is in his life, who are you taking, Garoppolo or Tom Brady? Under that circumstance, I would go with Tom Brady, and that's why this would be a little compelling.
Yeah, I love the Toby Keith theory that you're describing. I'm not as good as I once was, but I'm as good once as I ever was. Tom Brady in the playoffs theoretically can achieve that. But, Bo, we also just watched him get, thrown all the way out of the postseason by Tennessee.
All by himself?
No, but he didn't play well. I believe he was 54% completion, 1 interception, 0 touchdowns. All of which is to say that Tom Brady, I respect the legend, but Jimmy Garoppolo over the course of a full season, I'm not taking any of that season for granted in the NFL.
All right, so Jimmy Garoppolo playing with the Patriots with what Tom Brady was playing with. How do you think that would have looked? Do you think it would have looked markedly better than it did for them? Because the thing I have to say about what San Francisco has, and it reminds me a little bit of what went on with Brett Favre when he left Green Bay. Now, Brett Favre wasn't as old as Brady is, but he also he had all the miles in the world.
Yeah.
Didn't look so great with the Jets, then wound up going to the Vikings. They had some guys that he had worked with before in 2009. Probably his best season, right? You can make an argument that it's a similar thing going on with Brady right now because the circumstances were not optimal for him there. With San Francisco, with a real live running game there, the receiver situation isn't great, but it's good, and you got Kittle, which would be like a Gronk reminder. If you put Brady under a better set of circumstances, I don't know what exactly it looks like, but I don't know what the decay is going to be on Tom Brady going from last season to this season. But Garoppolo, I feel confident saying you're not going to win a Super Bowl with that dude.
Yeah, I can't say that so definitively, Bomani, and it's because last season we care about stats like passing touchdowns and completion percentage and yards per attempt, and Jimmy Garoppolo is the only quarterback to be in the top 5 in all 3 of those categories. So to me, Garoppolo was atrocious in all of these ways. We've now established that officially. But in terms of was he in that Super Bowl in spite of himself? No, I thought we had a whole season in which he actually was quite good.
Right, but then the fourth quarter where he was not. As much as you can say that, you put those numbers out there, go look at what guys like Brian Hoyer and Kirk Cousins did while playing with Kyle Shanahan. I don't think those numbers that you're pointing to say as much about Garoppolo as they say about the system that he was playing in. And now, the Sixers, who are on the business end of a 137-106 Heat victory in Miami. The particulars matter less than Ben Simmons' assessment of his team's performance, though.
We were soft.
When you say soft, too, is that like locked in is another thing you say? Is it more kind of...
Don't get bullied, fight over screens, get through screens. You got to knock somebody out and knock them over. You got to hit somebody in the face and knock them out, make sure they don't score, hit them in the face.
All right, now calling your team soft stands out when the opponent features Jimmy Butler, the anti-soft wing the Sixers did not re-sign last season, instead keeping Tobias Harris, who went 0 for 6 from 3. Pablo, the Sixers continue to look like a middle-of-the-pack team in the East. Trade deadline is Thursday. What should the front office do?
Apologize? Can we get an apology from the front office and from Elton Brand and all of the holdovers from under Brian Colangelo that assembled this team? Because watching this game, it was not just Tobias Harris and his $180 million going 0 for 6 from 3. It was Al Horford getting 6 points. And Al Horford, I could use him against Giannis, but the point is, on this team, he's being deployed so strangely. He's starting oftentimes. He should be coming off the bench. The front office should be getting this team guards. Like, if I want one thing from this deadline, just get a couple of guards. I don't even need a big name. Just get me some sensible players for balance on the floor.
You want to bring Al Horford off the bench at those prices?
I have to, man.
Right. I'm asking you seriously. Who are we starting if we're putting Al Horford on the bench?
Embiid, Simmons, Tobias Harris, Josh Richardson, and maybe a guard they acquire that's not Shake Milton or Raul Neto.
I mean, I gotta say that sounds cool, but you're not bringing $30 million off the bench.
That's
Personally,
the problem.
that's not going to happen. And I don't even know. I don't find it impossible for you to put together something that can work with the players that they have. I do find it impossible to put something together that works with the players that they have and the coach that they have. How much longer are they going to keep this thing going with Brett Brown? No one's ever given me this clear demonstration of what he's done in this job that is at all impressive. No one showed me what he could do on this job that literally nobody else that is an NBA coach could find a way to pull off. Like, if there's a move to make, that's probably the one. The easy flip side is, who do you then have come coach the team? And the answer might be anybody else. It may be at that point, but they've got to figure out a way to get those two dudes right there playing well with each other, because they're like, when they first started playing together, they were looking at double digits per 100 possession net rating improvement, right? They're 10 points per 100 possession better together than they were with those guys off the floor. Now it's real close to even, and there's no point in having those two dudes together if they're going to be effectively a net zero.
But that, to me, is the silver lining in this pairing. It's because those two guys together can work if you have the right guys around them. Together, over the last 3 years, NBA Wowie, this on-off court number stat, had this. They're 116 points per 100 possessions, the two of them on the floor together over the last 3 years. What does that mean? You need guys around them that fit, and Brett Brown, as much as I like him on the hot seat, he should be feeling the heat underneath him. What he's dealing with is a bunch of weird parts, and my concern in all of this is that you fire Brett Brown, the front office gets a longer leash for them, and those are the people that are the most problematic in all of this.
Matter of time, by the way, for one of these guys has to go. Whether y'all like it or not, it is a matter of time. Unless Simmons becomes a much better shooter, I don't see how this works long term with the two of them.
But up next is Karl Anthony Towns. The Timberwolves star was left off the All-Star team and said, quote, "I'm desensitized to being disrespected in this league. I've been disrespected since I came in. When you're a person who's been disrespected like me so much, it's something you expect, honestly." End quote. Towns added that it's unfortunate that this year's All-Star game won't have the best 24 players in the league. So, Bo, does Karl Towns have a point?
Who is disrespecting him? Can somebody show me who these people are who are disrespecting Karl Anthony Towns? I haven't seen anybody disrespect him, not once. You missed, 17 games? You missed 17 games. That's the reason why you're not an all-star. It's really not deeper than that. If you had played more, they would have put you on that team. Why are you whining like this? Why are so many of these dudes whining about this? Why are we getting agent statements about cats not making the rookie sophomore game? Last year, I had all the blues with Rudy Gobert because he was crying about this. He looks so much better than all of these other cats do in this situation. That was just how he felt. These cats just look like suckers.
Yeah, it's a bad look. I mean, asking an NBA player, any of these almost all-stars, like, do you feel disrespected? All of them are going to sound like Alex Jones if you ask him about cloud formations. Yes, I'm disrespected. Yes, something else is going on here, and it's a conspiracy. It's the deep state. It's a black op. It's political. That's the way these guys feel at the top level. Now, Karl Towns specifically, though, man, he was the #1 overall pick. He was an all-star twice already. He has a max contract. Karl Towns, I want to blow the trumpet for Karl Towns and say, this guy is great, but he's making it hard when he is looking like a victim when he doesn't have to be.
And at what point do we start wondering if he gives you empty numbers? Right? Like if he really wants the disrespect to get started, the disrespect can start. The way your team performs with you on the floor. Like, there's room for him to get a lot more hell than he actually does. If he wants to advertise for the disrespect, there are people ready to give it to you. You might want to lay low.
Yes, there is an argument that Karl Towns should have been way better than winless since November. The problem with the Timberwolves, though, is that the team is just so bad. So they played 16 teams with Karl Towns back. They've lost to all of them. 13 of them were playoff teams. So
all of them, though. All of them.
13 of the 16 were playoff teams.
But they lost all of them.
But they lost all of them. And Andrew Wiggins, man, he's the second best player on this team. This is a bare cupboard for a guy who is averaging like 28, 8, and 7 or something like that.
But if he's as good as you... First up, Alex Smith. Mike Florio says he has a hunch that Smith is getting a Super Bowl ring from the Chiefs. Would you be in on him deserving one?
I am in on this because it's all ceremonial. No one's going to mistake Alex Smith for an actual champion. So what's happening here? Pat Mahomes credits him for building the culture he came into. And if Pat Mahomes wants to reward the guy who had the best QB rating and lowest interception rate in the league in his last year before Mahomes took his job, I'm all with that.
They asked whether he deserved a ring, and the answer is incontrovertibly no. Now, if they want to give him one, then feel free. But I don't feel the same way about this as I did like when the Colts gave Edgerrin James a ring the year after he left. In fact, I think I'd feel differently about this if it had happened last season. You're like, oh, Alex was a member of the team last year. 2 years away is a world away in this league. Nice of them to do it, but they really didn't have to.
Next topic, Giannis versus Zion. The Bucks and Pelicans play tonight with Giannis and Zion facing off for the first time ever. So you win on Zion having his best game yet tonight.
Probably not, because there's one guy I really want to see guard him, and it's Giannis, because Giannis is the one dude that I look at and say, he's that quick, he's that long, and he's that strong. That seems to be what you need to match up against Zion. That being said, I don't know who else in the league is supposed to guard this dude.
I feel like Zion is the answer defensively to Zion, and Zion might be the answer defensively to Giannis, simply because we have seen Giannis struggle only a couple of times, but when it happens, it's against guys who are big and strong and can move him around. Embiid did some of this when the Sixers played them. Obviously, this is a thing that the Raptors did to him. This is the only weakness he has in his game, and Zion might be big enough and fast enough to do it.
All right, up next, Blazers Nuggets. Damian Lillard versus Nikola Jokic tonight, with Lillard averaging 48 points over his last 6 games. You in on Dame going for another 50 tonight.
I feel compelled to say that I'm in on this simply because none of what we're watching on this tape makes sense to me. He is averaging 49 over his last 6. He's averaging 57% from 3. And he's playing teams like the Lakers and the Rockets and the Jazz. These are not scrubs. He's doing it against the best of the best.
Well, the Rockets too, right? We'll see how this one goes. The Nuggets are not a great defensive team. They're just kind of there, middle of the road in that particular wing of the game. So if you had to guess, yeah, it's a good chance he could put up another 50, but nobody's going for 50 every single night. You said he put 57% from 3 in the course of this run. The mean is waiting to be regressed upon.
But now, speaking of the Rockets, Clint Capella. The Rockets are actively discussing several trade scenarios involving Capella with a host of Eastern Conference franchises, per our Adrian Wojnarowski. So you win on the Rockets trading Clint.
I am not. I know they don't think that the center position necessarily provides a great deal of value, and in this trade they'd be getting back Robert Covington, and they need help on the wing. But it's hard for me to believe they're just going to come out here with these high school height lineups and just go through the West. That just is very difficult for me to grasp.
I think they want to go small ball. They want to go do the thing with PJ Tucker playing center and figuring it out from there, with Mike D'Antoni as the coach pushing them to play as fast as possible. But this does seem like for the Rockets, they think good is the enemy of great. They're a 5 seed right now in the Western Conference, and Clint Capella is very useful for somebody. But I think Daryl Morey realizes if this is the squad we got right now, we are not going very far.
And I think everybody there is coaching and general managing for their jobs. Finally, Super Bowl 52. Nick Foles and the Eagles' Super Bowl win was on this day 2 years ago. You in on the Philly special as the best trick play in Super Bowl history?
I am in on this, and it's not just because it is incredible, Nick Foles catching the pass. It's because Tom Brady tried to catch a pass on sort of a mirror trick play in this same exact Super Bowl, and he dropped it. So give Philly all the kudos for pulling it off.
Truth is, I can't think of that many trick plays in the Super Bowl. That's part of why this jumped out, right? So I'm not in a place to say whether that was the best trick play or not. I want to show you the worst trick play or not, or at the very least, the trick play that's made my life more inconvenient than any other. Can you roll this right fast? This is the last Super Bowl in Miami before the one this week. Saints came out and did this onside kick. That's part of the reason why they won that damn game. And do you realize how much more quiet and peaceful my life would be if they didn't have this one damn Super Bowl to hold over them? Saints fans be talking so crazy to people that root for the Falcons, which I do not because I'm off that narcotic. But they be talking so crazy to them, and the whole reason they won that one damn Super Bowl. That's it.
You won't let them have anything.
No.
All they want is an onside kick.
I don't care. No, they didn't want an onside kick. They wanted a Lombardi trophy, and unfortunately, they got it. It's at somebody's house sitting in a paper bag. All right, we talked about the Heat beating the brakes off the Sixers. Your squad. Here's Jimmy Butler after the game.
I felt great. I felt like Luka out there. You know, that's what he be doing, and it's really impressive. But more than anything, I'm super happy that we got the dub.
A 5th year. That's all he wanted from this front office, and they didn't want to give it to him.
He said he felt like Luka. He made his threes.
Wow.
Shoots
Analytic
32%.
shade.
Shoots 32% from three.
Quote,
9 a game.
I can't wait until we find a way to trade him. Said Memphis Grizzlies guard Dylan Brooks when asked about reports that his teammate Andre Iguodala would rather sit out all season than play for them. Let's watch.
No, it's not a distraction at all. I laugh at that type of stuff. You know, a guy that's on our team doesn't want to be on our team. You know, I can't wait till we find a way to trade him so we can play him. And I can just show him what really Memphis is about.
Bo, should Iguodala want to play for Memphis?
What do you mean you gonna show him what Memphis is all about? What kind of Memphis are you talking about, boy? You're in the NBA. Come on now. As for Iguodala, he wants to play for a team that can contend for a championship. This is not a team that's going to contend for a championship, but it is a team that's a whole lot better than any of us thought that it would be. Like, I don't think this is the experience that he thought it would have been if he had played for the Grizzlies, but if he wants to be on a champion, this isn't it.
And the Grizzlies fundamentally agree with Andre Iguodala. They aren't dying for him to play for them. They came to an understanding about this because they all expected the team to be bad. The team now is fighting for an 8th seed, and the team is super exciting. John Morant, Jaren Jackson, all of that is true. But if you're honest with yourself, and Andre Iguodala is as honest as anybody in this league, they're not the Lakers, they're not the Clippers, and those are the teams that this guy thinks he can go to.
Yeah, but how much is he going to help them if he goes there? Like, none of us know what he's actually going to look like when he gets on the court. This dude's been in the league. This is year 16 that we're talking about here. Yeah, like, we keep just looking at these dudes and think they're going to be the same guys they were 4 or 5 years ago. No, that's a lot to ask for in this particular case. So if they do get him back, I think that, if the Grizzlies were to keep him, he could probably impart some wisdom. Like, that's the part that I know for certain. But if he goes to LA, how many minutes is he actually going to earn?
No, it's a hard question to try and predict, but what we should be celebrating right now, though, is probably the fact that the Grizzlies are out here and they are taking shots at all sorts of champions. Do we have? Yes. This is Steph Curry telling everybody to shush because he's defending his mans. And there's Ja Morant going right back with the Kevin Durant has a Finals MVP, and a couple of them actually, and you have none.
I can't root for the youngsters on this one. Like, I got to say, like the way Dylan Brooks was talking, I was like, man, you disrespectful youngsters, if you don't go sit down and learn something about this business. Quote, I was hurt all year. Didn't want it to seem like I was making an excuse. Said Odell Beckham in an interview with Complex. Pablo, does this sound like an excuse to you?
I can't possibly say it sounds like an excuse when you have an actual injury, a sports hernia, which feels worse than a normal hernia, I suppose, because of that word sports in there. I'll have to double check what that actually means. But the point is, all of this is beyond my comprehension. And to call somebody excuse making because they were dealing with a medical thing, nah, I can't do that, man.
Well, the tricky thing with football is everybody's hurt in some capacity. So I understand saying you don't want to sound like you're making an excuse by saying that you were hurt. But he didn't look right. And unless you think he went over the hill in one offseason, then it stands to reason that part of what the problem was here, he's out here trying to play with a hernia.